Thank you for joining me today for another journey with Jesus through the Gospels. And we know that is the good news. I'm Bishop Charles Green, and today I want to talk about some promises of Jesus. Jesus made many promises in the Bible, but we're not going to cover them all, obviously. But just a few of them I want to talk about, and then I want to I want us to look at them a little bit and see what we can come away with. And so, as we talk about promises, let me begin by talking about that God. The Bible says God watches over His word to perform it. And so whatever God speaks, God is going to back it up. The Bible said God is not slack concerning His promises. In other words, if He made a promise, God is going to make sure that promise is kept. And so we can rest assured. And if we can come to really see that God is a promise keeper. And when we're talking about the promises of God, it's not like when we make promises, because God's promises is it's an assurance that it's going to happen. See, our promises sometimes may and may not happen, but when God makes a promise, He gives us the assurance that it's going to happen. So let's jump into this first promise that we're going to talk about, and that is Jesus said, "I come to give you life, and that more abundantly." Now that's found in John chapter 10. And where Jesus is speaking this promise, He had just finished speaking to a group of people of His day, and He was letting them know that the devil comes to kill, or to steal, kill, and destroy. And so Jesus was giving them another option. He was giving them another way of looking at it, that the devil come to steal, kill, and destroy. But He said, "I come to give you life, and that more abundantly." And so now we got a better choice that we can make, knowing what Jesus come to give us versus what the devil comes to do. Now the next promise is, He said, "I go to prepare a place for you, and that," He said, "where I am, you'll be also." And so this promise, I think, what Jesus is telling us, and it's over in John chapter 14, but He's letting us know, He was letting the disciples know that He's getting ready to go back, but He was going to be preparing a place, and He was going to one day return back to the disciples, and that would include us today. And we know this when we get into Bible prophecy. He was referring to the rapture of the church, the taking out of the church. And so that's where He was letting His disciples of that day know, as well as us today, that He's going to come back. And so we can look for that day. Another promise, He says, "My peace I give unto you, not as the world give it, give I unto you." And so the peace of the Lord, there's no greater peace. You know, it's been said that someone trying to give a definition of peace, that peace is the absence of war. But I'm going to tell you, according to Jesus, He can give us peace in the midst of a war. Just like He can give us peace in the midst of a storm. Now, storms just might come in our lives. That's part of life. But even in that storm, He can give us what's called a peace. And the Bible said a peace that passes all understanding. We may not understand it, but He'll give us that peace. Now, another thing about the storm, as I said, we're going to have storms, but he can make that storm to be what's called a quiet storm. So that storm won't distress us or bother us at all. So you can go through a storm, but Jesus, he can make that storm to be a quiet storm. The next piece, and that's over in John 14 also. And then again, another promise, Jesus said, I will be with you always. And then he said, even until the end of the world. Now that's the part we miss sometimes when we're reading this scripture, looking at this promise, that he gonna be with us always. We got that. But then he said, even until the end of the world. And that's the part we miss, because what he's actually telling us in this promise, that the world, as we know it, it's going to come to an end. Something's going to happen. We don't know, what we know. Some of the things that's going to take place according to biblical prophecy. But the point is, he's saying he's going to always be with us when that time comes, that we can count on him. So that's a promise that we never have to worry about. And that's in Matthew 28 also. And then another promise, he said the Son of Man come to save that which was lost. And of course, that was all of us. And that's in Luke chapter 19. So he's promising no matter how lost we get, he letting us know that he can save us, as one scripture say, to the uttermost. And then some people have taken that and say even to the guttermost. So no matter how low we go, how far we go, he can save no matter what. And so he said he came to save that which was lost. Well, that's us. And so no matter what, there's no conditions to the limitations to what he can do is for salvation to mankind. And then he goes on to say, it said, whom the Son had set free, excuse me, he's free indeed. And that's John chapter 8. And so Jesus is saying that when he delivers someone from any bondage or whatever it is, that when he delivers, he said, you are totally delivered, because he uses the word whom the Son have set free, he's free indeed. So there's no tag-alongs, he don't have to deliver 50% or whatever. He totally delivers. And so he does it according to his healing power. And then he said in another promise, and I love these promises, he said, come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden. And he said, I'll give you rest. And that's in Matthew 11. And Lord knows we need rest sometime, because these bodies are not made, or was not made as we do machines. And so, but he's letting us know in that if we will allow him, because sometimes things come upon us, sometimes things slam dunk us, we don't see it coming, it overwhelms us in a lot of areas. But he's saying if we would allow him to get involved, that he will lighten the load. As a matter of fact, he'll take the load upon him, because he said, come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden, and he's going to give us that rest. And so he said we can rest. We can rest, and sometimes we just get overloaded and we just don't know what we're going to do. But he said he's the one that will take this load and give us the rest, as well as he said the peace. And the other one, Another promise, Jesus said, seek first the kingdom, and all other things will be added. So he's letting us know that we got to get our priorities lined up. And that's where we get off at. If we would seek above, which is the kingdom, and then he said all these other things will be added, that's beneath. And so he's not saying we can't have other things, but he said we got to first seek the kingdom. And that is seeking God. Or put it another way, looking to God. That's what David said when he was in that valley. He said, I'm going to look to the hills from whence cometh my help, and my help cometh from the Lord. And so David had a solution to when he got himself in a low place. He said, I'm going to look up. I'm going to look to the hills. I know my help is coming. Let me get to another promise that Jesus made. He said, ask and it shall be given. Seek and you shall find, and knock and it shall be open. And so that's a promise. Now, we don't know in every personal situation exactly what each person may be going through or trying to get done. But he's letting us know that we first got to ask. One scripture said we have not because we ask not. And so he's saying if we'll just ask, and then let me put these three words together that Jesus said in this particular promise: ask, seek, and knock. And so if we could get a hold to those three terms that Jesus is speaking of, then he letting us know that if everyone that asks, he's telling them they receives. And then he said everyone that seeks, they find. And then of course the last one, and everyone that knocks, he said the door is going to be open. And so Jesus is speaking to us about being consistent, don't give up. Don't go and get discouraged. One person said, how bad do you want it? Think of it that way. How bad do you want it? And if you want it bad enough, then you'll ask, you'll seek, and you'll knock until the door becomes open. And so I'm going to close out this study with this, and I hope you got something from it, and I hope to see you on the next journey with Jesus through the gospel. And of course, I say it again, that is the good news. So thank you very much.